with the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain while she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his head. His tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that he might devour the child the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. Her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the desert to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, the ancient serpent called the devil, Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now I have come to the salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brother who accuses them before our God day and night has been hurled down. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore, you heavens, and you who dwell in them, rejoice. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the desert, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and half a time, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to make war against the rest of her offspring, those who obey God's commandments and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with the child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tails drew the third of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God, into his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon fought against the angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore they rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell on the earth. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. When the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent was cast out of his mouth, and water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. また、巨大な印が天に表された。一人の女が太陽を着て、月を足の下に踏み、頭には12の星の冠をかぶっていた。この女は身ごもっていたが、生みの苦しみと痛みのために呼び声を上げた。また別の印が天に表された。身を大きな赤い竜である。7つの頭と 10本の角とを持ち、その頭には7つの冠をかぶっていた。その王は天の星と3分の1を引き寄せると、それから地上に投げた。また、竜は子を産もうとしている女の前に立っていた。彼女が女を産んだとき、その子を食い尽くすためであった。女は男の子を産んだ。この子は鉄の杖を持って、すべての国々の民を牧するはずである。その子は神の身元、その御座に引き上げられた。女は荒野に逃げた。そこには1260日の間、彼女を養うために神によって備えられた場所があった。さて、天に戦いが起こって、ミカエルと彼の使いたちは竜と戦った。そしてそれで竜とその使いたちは応戦したが勝つことはできず、天にはもはや彼らのいる場所がなくなった。こうして巨大な竜、すなわち悪魔とサタンと呼ばれていて、全世界を惑わすあの古い蛇は投げ落とされた。彼は地上に投げ落とされ、彼の使いと共に投げ落とされた。その時、天で大きな声が、こういうのを聞いた。今や私たちの神の救いと力と国と、また神のキリストの権威が現れた。私たちの兄弟たちの告発者、日夜彼らと私たちの神の前で訴えているものが投げ落とされたからである。兄弟たちは、子羊の血と自分たちの証の言葉のゆえに彼に打ち勝った。彼は死に至るまでもう命を惜しまなかった。せゆえ天とその中に住む者たち喜びなさい。しかし地と海とには災いが来る。悪魔が自分の時が短いことを知り、激しく怒ってそこに下ったからである。自分の地上に投げ落とされたのを知った竜は、男の子を産んだ女を追いかけた。しかし、女は大足の翼を2つ与えられた。自分の場所である荒野に飛んで行って、そこで一時、二時、半時の間、蛇の前を逃れて養われるためであった。ところが蛇はその口から水を川のように女のうろべへ吐き出し、彼女を大水で押し流そうとした。しかし、死は女を助け、その口を開いて、竜が口から吐き出した川を飲み干した。すると竜は女に対して激しく怒り、女の子孫の残りの者、すなわち神の戒めを守り、イエスの証を保っている者たちと戦おうと出て行った。そして彼は海辺の砂の上に立った。And the dragon stood on the shore of the sea. And I saw a beast coming out of the sea. He had 10 horns and 7 heads, 10 crowns on his horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled the leopard, but had a feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was astonished and followed the beast. Men worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can make war against him?" The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, to exercise his authority for 42 months. He opened his mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name in his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. He was given power to make war against the saints and to conquer them. And he was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. all whose name have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world. He who has an ear, let him hear. If anyone goes into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. This calls for the patient endurance and the faithfulness on the part of the saints. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. He exercised all the authority of the first beast on his behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And he performed great and miraculous signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in the full view of men, because the signs he was given power to do on behalf of the first beast he deceived the inhabitants of the earth. He ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast, and was wounded by the sword, and yet lived. He was given power to breathe to the image of the first beast, so that it could speak and cause who refused to worship the image to be killed. He forced everyone, small and great and rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand and on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast and the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is man's number. His number is 666. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And a dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man has to have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He doeth great wonders, so that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them by them that dwell on the earth, by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should not speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, in the name of the beast, or the number of the wisdom. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. His number is 666. また私は見た。海から一匹の獣が登ってきた。これには10本の角と7つの頭とがあった。その角には10の冠があり、また頭には髪を汚す名があった。私の見たその獣は豹に似ており、足は熊の足のようで、口は獅子の口のようであった。竜はこの獣に自分の力と位と大きな権威とを与えた。その頭のうちの一つは撃ち殺されたかと思われたが、その致命的な傷も治ってしまった。そこで全地は驚いて、その獣に従い、そして竜を拝んだ。獣に権威を与えたのが竜だからである。また彼らは獣を拝んで、誰が獣に比べられよう、誰がこれと戦うことはできようと言った。竜は高慢なことを言い、怪我し事を言う口を与えられ、42ヶ月 間活動する権威を与えられた。そこで彼はその口を開いて神に対する汚し事を言い始めた。すなわち、神の名とその幕や、すなわち天に住む者たちを罵った。彼はまた生徒たちに戦いを挑んで、打ち勝つことは許され、またあらゆる部族、民族、国語、国民を支配する権威を与えられた。地に住む者で、ほふられたご一水の命の書に、世の初めからその名を書き記されていない者は皆、彼を拝むようになる。耳のある者は聞きなさい。虜になるべき者は虜にされてゆく。剣で殺す者は自分も剣で殺されなければならない。ここに生徒の忍耐と信仰がある。また私は見た。もう一匹の獣が地から登ってきた。それに子羊のような二本の角があり、竜のようにものを言った。この獣は最初の獣が持っているすべての権威をその獣の前で働かせた。また、地と地に住む人々に致命的な傷の治った最初の獣を拝まさせた。また、人々の前で火を天から地に降らせるような大きな印を行った。また、あの獣の前で行うことを許された印を持って地上に住む人々を惑わし、剣の傷を受けながらも、なお、生き返ったあの獣の像を作るように、地上に住む人々に命じた。それからその獣の像に吹き込んで、獣の像が物を言うことさえできるようにし、またその獣の像を拝まない者を皆殺された。また小さいものにも大きいものにも飛んでいるものにも貧しいものにも従人にも奴隷にもすべての人々にその右手かその額に刻印を受けさせた。またその刻印、すなわちあの獣の名、またその名の数字を持っている者以外は誰も買うことも売ることもできないようにした。ここに知恵がある。知恵のある者はその獣の数字を数えなさい。その数字は人間を指しているからである。その数字は666である。Then I looked, and before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, with him 144,000, who had the name of his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like a roar of rushing waters, and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like the harpists playing their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they kept themselves pure. They followed the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among men and offered as firstfruits to God and the Lamb. No lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless. Then I saw another angel flying midair. He had the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. He said in a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens and the earth, and the sea and the springs of water." The second angel followed and said, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries." The third angel followed and said in a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast in his image and receives the mark on his forehead or on his hand, he too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment rises up forever and ever. There is no rest, day nor night, for those who worship the beast and his image, and for anyone who receives the mark of his name." This calls for patient endurance on the part of the saints who obey God's commandments and remain faithful to Jesus. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, "Right, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labor, and their deeds will follow them." I looked, and there before me was a white cloud. Seated on the cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, "Take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap is come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." So he was seated on the cloud, swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel, who had charge over of the 5, came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the cluster of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe." The angel swung his sickle on the earth and gathered the grapes and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside of the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising to as high as the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. And I looked, and lo, the Lamb who stood on Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having this Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song, but the 144,000, which are redeemed from the earth. These are they which are not defiled with woman, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. And another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea, and the fountains of waters." And there followed another angel, saying, "Babylon is fallen, fallen is the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive the mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of God's wrath, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus." And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying unto me, "Write, Blessed are the dead, which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them." And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on a cloud, "Thrust thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." And he that sat on the cloud thrust his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had the power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that thrust the sharp sickle, saying, "Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe." And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. また私は見よ、子羊がシオンの山の上に立っていた。また子羊と共に、144000人の人たちが立っていて、その額には子羊の名と子羊の父の名とが記してあった。私は天から声を聞いた。大水の音のようで、また激しい雷鳴のようであった。また私の聞いたその声は、盾ごとを弾く人々が盾ごとをかき鳴らしている音のようでもあった。彼らは御座の前と4つの生き物を呼び、長老たちの前で新しい歌を歌った。しかし地上から現れた144000人の他には、誰もその歌を学ぶことはできなかった。彼らは女によって汚されたことのない人々である。彼らは童貞なのである。彼らは子羊が行くところには、どこにでもついて行く。彼らは神及び子羊に捧げられる 発音として人々の中から贖われたのである。彼らの口には偽りがなかった。彼らは傷のないものである。また私はもう一人の御使いが中天を飛ぶのを見た。彼らは地上に住む人々、すなわちあらゆる国民、部族、国交、民族に述べ伝えるために永遠の福音を携えていた。彼は大声で言った。神を恐れ、神を崇めよ。神の裁きの時が来たからである。天と地と海と水の源を創造した方を拝め。また第の別の御使いが続いてやってきていった。大バビロンは倒れた、激しい御怒りを引き起こす、その不陰行のブドウ酒をすべての国々の民に飲ませたもの。また第三の別の御使いも彼らに続いてやってきて大声で言った。もし誰でも獣とその像を拝み、自分の額か頭かに刻印を受けるなら、そのようなものは神の怒りの杯に混ぜ物なしに注がれた神の怒りのブドウ酒を飲む。また聖なる御使いたちと子羊との前で火と硫黄で苦しめられる。そして彼らの苦しみの煙は永遠にまでも立ち上る。獣とその像を拝む者、また誰も獣の名の刻印を受ける者は夜も昼も休みを得ない。神の戒めを守り、イエスに対する信仰を持ち続ける生徒たちの忍耐はここにある。また私は天からこう言っている声を聞いた。書き記せ、今からのち、主にあって死ぬ死者は幸いである。御霊も言われる。しかり、彼らはその労苦から解き放たれて休むことができる。彼らの行いは彼らについていくからである。また私は見た。見よ。白い雲が起こり、その雲のは人の子のような方が乗っておられた。頭には金の冠をかぶり、手には鋭い鎌を持っておられた。するともう一人の御使いが聖書から出てきて、雲に乗っておられる方に向かって大声で叫んだ。鎌を入れて刈り取ってください。地の穀物は実ったので、刈り取る時が来ましたから、そこで雲に乗っておられる方が地に鎌を入れると、地は、刈り取られた。またもう一人の御使いが天の聖女から出てきたが、この御使いも鋭い鎌を持っていた。すると、火を支配する権威を持ったもう一人の御使いが祭壇から出てきて、鋭い鎌を持つ御使いに大声で叫んでいった。その鋭い鎌を入れ、地のブドウの房を刈り集めよう。ブドウはすでに熟しているのだから。そこで御使いは激しい鎌を入れ、地のブドウを刈り集めて、神の激しい怒りの大きな酒舟に投げ入れた。その酒舟は都の外で踏まれたが、地はその酒舟から流れ出て、馬の靴輪に届くほどになり、1600スタリオンに広がった。